Welcome back to the Behind Their Business podcast, or if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. And today, our guest is going to share about how she became the sole breadwinner after her husband's diagnosis of two chronic blood diseases and lupus. So, she's going to talk about how she's juggling chemotherapy every 6 months and the family life too with her kids and how she manages to take them to taekwondo, like just little things like that, right? And in her business, our guest is the founder and owner of the Freedom Ad Agency, which helps coaches scale their businesses to freedom, hence the name, through Facebook and Instagram ads. So welcome, Alex Ramirez. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm excited to be here and talk all the things and give you guys some insight on how I do what I do.
Yeah, let's just dive in. Like you just take control. Tell us about your journey. Tell us what led you up. Like I like to kind of go like stage by stage. So if you can kind of take us through the chain of events that led you up to where you're at right now would be amazing.
Yeah, so basically, my husband and I were married, we were high school sweethearts, got married at 18 years old. That's often not seen, and we're now in our 30s. So we made it. Woohoo!
Yeah,
So
congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work. But yeah, so we got married really early because he was joining the Air Force. And we ended up having two children. But when I was, I was 6 months, 7 months pregnant with my daughter, and that's our youngest. And when my husband ended up, he was working out one time, and he used to work for, he was a rigger in the Air Force, which meant like he rigged like parachutes and all those types of things for special forces. And all those different things, and he was amazing at his job, and people even still to this day ask him, even though he's been out of the Air Force for many years. And but so he got his first blood clot around, I think we were 23 years old.
23 years old.
23, yes. And the military ended up messing up his whole entire body because they misdiagnosed him, and it's a whole story there that I shouldn't even get into because that's just way too much for people to handle. But fast forward a little bit, we figured out that he was going to get medically retired out of the Air Force, and during that time I was like, uh-oh, like I gotta figure my stuff out. And actually at the time I was actually a Beachbody coach. I was an MLM. And no hate to the MLM network marketing people, but it's just not for me. It just didn't work out for me. But what the cool thing was is I started as a virtual assistant for Beachbody coaches, for the top 1% type of coaches in the industry. And I was doing small little things, like graphics for their posts and scheduling their posts, doing all those different things. So I started as a virtual assistant. I eventually, and if anybody has been in the business for a long time, you would know about Periscope. I actually started a little bit on
Oh my gosh, I'm
Periscope.
laughing.
Um, and that's where I was like really, and that's when I first started to get like actual, I don't like to say actual, but I started getting business owners that were like business coaches and, intimacy coaches, relationship coaches, those types of things. And I loved working with them. And as a virtual assistant, you tend to do kind of everything for some clients. And that eventually got me to start creating websites, creating sales funnels. And then when you start to do sales funnels and those things, clients tend to want ads for those things. And so then I started to learning about Facebook ads. And that's been a kind of my expertise in like something that makes me feel challenged all the time because as anybody knows, Facebook ads and Instagram ads change all the time. And marketing also changes all the time, and I love to be able to go and think about what the consumer is actually wanting, and because I like to just figure out that challenge and really thinking about those different things. But yeah, and then I started my Done For You advertising agency, which I own right now, which is the Freedom Ad Agency, back in 2020, the beginning of 2020, before the whole pandemic happened. But it's been amazing ever since, and we've gotten amazing clients results. And yeah, that's kind of been our journey. But along the way, After the Air Force, my husband ended up getting diagnosed with two blood disorders along with lupus, which basically what this diagnosis is that it causes blood clots all around his body. So he has some in his, he actually has one in his heart. He has a few in his arms. I would say any appendage of any kind, he's got like a blood clot of some kind in it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, even, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was in the hospital and they actually almost basically killed him. Yeah, that's a whole nother story too. But we were able to get him out of there pretty quickly.
I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just kind of
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
in shock right now that so I have so many thoughts and questions. So the first is just a comment. I was also a virtual assistant when I got started, and you're right. Like you start and you're just kind of doing everything, like for your own business and for clients' businesses too. So it's very easy to learn how to do pretty much everything, right? When did you
Yeah, which
start?
I loved. I
Yeah.
loved being able to like figure out, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? And just learning all the
Yeah.
time through experience, I feel like is the best way that I learn things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I said if I could be like in college forever, like learning forever, but not have to take tests, that would be the dream for me. And I feel like I found that like
Yeah.
in the
I have
online.
testing anxiety, so testing is not you could test me on Facebook ads and I would still fail.
Right. I totally understand that. I'm a horrible test taker as well. But when did you say you started that? How many years ago was that?
So when I started as a virtual assistant, I think it was back in 2016, if I remember correctly. I
You
mean,
and
I
I got
started
started around the
before
same
then.
time.
I started kind of a little bit before then with like the Beachbody coaches, but I didn't officially make it into like a business. I was like more of like a side hustle before then. Until 2016 is when I made it official.
Yeah, I feel like people who have been in this world for a long time, like you and I, were kind of like, this is gonna sound awful, but like the grandmas of the industry in a way.
A little
Like,
bit, a little
I feel
bit.
like everybody kind of started their business in 2020 when the pandemic hit, or maybe that's just what I'm seeing right now. I
Yeah.
don't know. But it's always really great to connect with somebody who's been doing this for a while as well. Now, I want to hear a little bit, if you don't mind sharing, about how life is with managing your kids too. Like, is your husband able to help with things around the house? Does it kind of all fall on your shoulders? Like, what does that really look
It
like with
definitely
homework?
doesn't fall all on my shoulders, and he's one of the best stay-at-home dads you could ever ask a husband to be. And I love him to death for it. I would say the times where it falls on my shoulders is definitely like now. And it's so he actually does chemo every 6 months, and he's on his ninth round currently. He does one bag per week, uh, for 4 weeks. So it's like a full month. And so he just had his first bag of the ninth round this week. So yeah, it's definitely riding on my shoulders currently, and I'm not used to it. And it's every 6 months where I'm like, yeah, just come back. Like, can you just stop doing chemo, please? Because he does the groceries. He does grocery shopping. He does carpooling with the kids. He does a lot of those things, and I love him for it. And we definitely kind of like switched roles when he got out of the Air Force, and but it's been amazing, and he's good at it. He's great at being a stay-at-home dad. But yeah, it's definitely right on my shoulders currently, and I cannot wait for him to be done.
Yeah, it sounds like it kind of like goes through phases or like seasons in your year,
Yeah,
basically.
for sure. And like and my team kind of knows about that, and they're kind of like, and I usually have to inform them of being, okay, hey guys, my husband's going through chemo like next month, so you prepare for that. And even like yesterday we had a call and my husband was vomiting, and I totally forgot about the call, and I was taking care of him, I was taking care of the kids, and I totally forgot about the call with the client. And so they were like, and also they couldn't get a hold of me either, and they were very concerned. And I was like, "Don't worry, like I'm sorry. It's just I didn't have my cell phone. I was taking care of vomit. I was taking care of kids. I just don't know what I was doing." We were able to reschedule it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely an up and down roller coaster some days, but other days I'm able to like figure it out and work it out.
Yeah, that's great. And it's also amazing that you have that flexibility with your schedule and you're not like somebody who's working in a job where you can't just like leave,
Oh, I
right?
know, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing nowadays that most people tend to have like a remote job, I feel like, especially in the corporate type of world, which I think is amazing. But yeah, definitely for the other jobs that like don't necessarily you have to be there, retail like I used to or anything along those lines, it wouldn't be possible at all
hmm
for me.
Yeah, did that I worked retail for like 6 years, 7 years. I don't even remember, but yeah, it's literally impossible to get any time off in retail. But I would love to know. So when did your husband end up leaving the Air Force? I don't know if you mentioned that or not. So when did you like really step into that sole breadwinner role?
Oh gosh, that was probably, I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm the complete soul. I mean, I do make a lot of the money in the business. I mean, not in the business, in our relationship, I guess you can say. But I mean, if I wanted to leave the business, I mean, I guess it's kind of possible that we can work out our bills with his medical retirement. But I mean, then we're living paycheck to paycheck type of situation. And so my money is like really the income that comes in for my business is really to do the things that our lifestyle wants to have, being able to go on vacations, being able to build a pool in the back or get solar panels on the house or, things like that of like our everyday lifestyle that we want to hold on to. Definitely that's part of my business. But that started, gosh, I mean, probably moved to Arizona, which was in 2018, 17 or 18.
Okay, cool. So it's
Yeah.
been a while.
It's been a
So
while. It's been a good
yeah,
amount of time of figuring my shit out.
yeah. That kind of leads me into my next question of like, what was coming up for you as you were making this transition? If you can remember, like the mindset gunk that was likely coming up. Like, was there anything that you remember specifically that you had to work through?
I mean, that's a constant thing. It's not even just, I mean, I could see it now. I'm in 2022. I've been in business for how long? I don't even know the math on it, but for many years to the point where I mean, it's like being a mom. Like people tend to look at other like the Pinterest moms out there and they're like, I can't wait to be like her. But no, the Pinterest mom is struggling just as much as you are. And but yeah, it's the same thing with business in terms of that. And I have my moments of being able to be like, yes, I have full clarity. I know what I want. I know I'm going to create it. And then there's other times where I'm like, ooh, like I don't know. Like I seriously have no idea what the heck I'm doing. And it's just how you navigate those situations and how you're going to figure that out. And sometimes you just have to take the leap of faith within yourself to be able to go, you know what, even if this doesn't work out, all well. I'm gonna pick myself back up in any situation. And I know that about myself. I've had many instances where, here, I'll give you guys a little bit of sappy story for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
This kind of shows you how shitty my life is sometimes. But I get my ass back up. Don't worry about it. No, not too sappy. But a few years ago, back in oh god, my brother committed suicide back in I think it was like 2018, 2019, and during that period of time, I ended up hiring someone onto my team. It ended up messing a lot of my client work, and I ended up having to. 5 clients ended up not wanting to work with me any longer because of it. And so, yeah, like that was a period of time in my life and also my business where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick myself back up and I'm going to figure this out because I have to. I have no other avenue here. I have no other plan B other than to get my ass up and figure it out because I have to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I completely resonate with that so much. I'm first of all so sorry to hear about your brother. I can't even imagine. So I really empathize with you there. But yeah, I mean, as entrepreneurs, it's kind of what we have to do. Like some days when we don't want to get up and do the work, we still have to do it, you know? Like if we make a bad hire and they get rid of 5 of our clients, guess what? We're going to make a better hire next time, right? We're always
Yeah,
going to learn from that
we know the
situation.
lesson now of like,
Yep.
we can't, because I mean, I hired her because I was in a pinch.
Right.
And I needed to go to the funeral. I needed to go do things with my family and take care of my family, and I need to do all those things. But again, I every situation where something has made a mistake, and there's going to be failures in your business no matter what, and I've noticed that. If you show me anybody that hasn't had any failures in their business, I'm going to show you a complete liar,
Mhm.
complete liar, because it happens. It's going to happen that you're going to have failures. You're going to have clients that are going to ask for refunds. You're going to have clients who are going to say that your program or whatever your service is stupid and it's horrible. You're you're gonna deal with these situations in life and in business, and it's just a matter of what are you going to do and what lesson are you going to learn from it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's all about just learning like every single day. It's like learning something new. So I love that you mentioned that. I do want to dive just for the next couple of minutes into the marketing side of things, which I normally don't do this, but I think it's going to be helpful for people. Well, realistically, by the time this episode comes out, something may have changed. So
You never know.
maybe take that with a grain of salt. But if you don't mind sharing, I would love for you to just kind of give your advice for people who may be potentially wanting to start using ads to market their business. Like, is there anything that's working right now that people should keep in mind if that's the route they want to go
Yeah,
down?
and to be honest with you, like this tip that I'm going to give is definitely something that I feel like is not going to change ever.
Good. Perfect.
Um, so if anybody remembers, and I'm sure Stephanie can attest to this, back in when we, when we were the youngins
When we were
of the
young.
business, we that you could have Facebook ads that looked really crappy. You could have audiences that you were testing that didn't really matter. You could have the ugliest landing page, and you could have an automated webinar that didn't make any sense. And that person, whoever had all of that, would end up spending $1,000 and made 100,000. I mean, that's probably an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. So basically, being able to not spend a whole bunch of money in ad spend, but still making a good amount of sales. However, we're in 2022, so it's a complete different marketing nowadays because more people are doing advertising, especially in the small business world, because it's become a lot easier for people to advertise on Facebook and Instagram, on social media in general. But also with the new technical changes as far as privacy laws and all these different things have changed. So what is working right now, though, for many of my clients is you have to think about your marketing from the consumer's perspective. Bottom line. And think about what would you want? What would you want to see in an ad that's going to make you go, yes, I fucking need this, and I'm going to sign up to this, or the purchase, or whatever it is, right? So you have to always think about it from a consumer's perspective. So let me give you a quick example. So if, let's say, Stephanie, let's say you signed up to 2 different webinars. And I mean webinars, I mean quoting this, quote unquote, because some of them are definitely webinars, and then some of them are like trainings or workshops, whatever the heck you want to call them, right? But some type of like one event situation, free event. So you were a part of 2 of these. You signed up to 2 of them. Once, different times, whatever. You go to one, you watch it, and this person is going through their life story. They're talking about you're in the right place if blah 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 blah, and giving you the 3 secrets to whatever. Everybody has done these types of webinars, right? We're kind of taught this at this point that this is the way to go, right? Most likely, you've seen way too many of these, Stephanie, and you're not going to purchase, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't even watch them anymore, if I'm being
Exactly.
totally honest. Yeah.
However, However, let's say the second one that you went to was more of a workshop feel, and it's still free. So, because some people tend to think that like if you create a workshop, it has to be a paid one, which isn't. You don't have to. But let's say it's more of a workshop feel, which basically means is that you're creating that the person who's hosting this is creating an experience for you of what it's like to work with her or him, whatever, right? And what that could look like is, let's say they asked you questions that allowed you to audit your Instagram, for example. Like, you were able to figure out that your engagement's super low. You were able to figure out that, her particular strategy on how she does her Instagram, postings, and like where she mostly posted, and did she do carousels? Does she do quotes? Does she do blah, 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 right? So if it was more like a workshop feel, and you got to experience what it's like to work with this person, and you liked the vibe of this person and the fact that like the experience allowed you to believe that like she was a person that you wanted to work with, then you're going to most likely purchase that program or whatever this person's offering. So I usually recommend nowadays, especially, like we cannot do the normal, the past ways of marketing. It's gone. It's forever gone. It's no longer working unless you're like Amy Porterfield, for example, which like everybody kind of knows who she is. We're not Amy Porterfield, so we can't do the same things that she does. Can't. Impossible. So we have to do it from a perspective of the consumer and how this consumer is going to want to buy from us. And that's normally just by creating that experience and creating that engagement with that person to be able to go, do you want to work with me? Yes or no? And they go, yes. And they go, no. Those types of things. And it's very black and white decision.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes so much sense. I'm definitely in the um in the in I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I prefer connecting with people and treating them like actual people. Like, and I feel
Yeah.
like I think it's a very simple thing. Like, for example, when somebody joins my free community, I'll personally send them a DM and say, "Hey, how are you? How are things going for you? Are you enjoying your time in this community?" Like, and I truly want to know because I want to have a conversation with them, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think when people can understand that there's another human on this end of it and not just chasing after the dollar bills, that's really what you're saying. That's when the difference happens, right? Like that's when changes are made. That's when people
Yeah.
actually buy from you too. Shocking, right?
Yeah. I mean, and then that's what we're coming into, especially after the pandemic. I understand that the regular business owner wants to have a more automated marketing strategy, but the consumer wants that connection with you. So if you can create an automated strategy of some type that still creates that experience and connection for the consumer, that is your winner. That's what's going to make the win as far as the sale and the conversion is going to happen. So that's the bottom line when it comes to marketing, especially in 2022, because the old ways are gone.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you shared that. I automate a lot of things in my business. And I also personally use, I don't know if you use ManyChat at all, but I love using ManyChat for some things, not everything.
Yeah, yeah. There's some stuff on there, and then the fact that they just brought in Instagram was a
Yes.
cool addition to that.
It's very helpful because it saves me a lot of time. And also, like you said, like lets you build that relationship with that person. So, yeah, this has been great. I'm so glad that you shared that. So thank you. I appreciate that. Is there anything that you want to share before we wrap up for somebody who may be going through a tough time right now? Maybe they are stepping into that role of being that sole breadwinner. Do you have any tips for somebody? I know you said before that you're just going to pick yourself up and do it again, but say somebody's like actually struggling with this and they don't know if this is the right um, like the right step for them to take. Do you have any advice or tips?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest advice that I could give people, especially, and this goes beyond even just business, but in life as well too. I've dealt with depression and anxiety for a very long time. I mean, I used to be a thumb sucker until I was like 16 years old. So that's how I dealt with my anxiety. But the biggest advice that I can give people in business and in your life is allow yourself to not be okay and to struggle. Take a moment to feel into your feelings. I feel like we're so quick nowadays to want to quickly get up or want to quickly get over these emotions. And doing so, all we're doing is brushing it under the rug. And that's a big problem. And so if you're struggling in business or if you're struggling in your life, whatever it is, allow yourself to feel those feelings. Cry it the hell out. Or like talk yourself through it but really just allow yourself to feel the feelings that you have because then you can eventually let go of it a lot easier. But yeah, try not to quickly get into things because then you start making decisions that are not going to work out for you. Because there's many times in my business where I've done that, where I'm like full of anxiety, like I'm not making money right now. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Let me write an email. Let me like do 100 posts today. Let me do this, and this, and then I put myself more into anxiety, and I burn myself out. So it's just too much. So instead, allow yourself to feel the feelings, gain clarity behind what you want in your business and in your life, and then go take care of that.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a big believer of crying in the shower. I love to cry in the shower because I feel like if I don't necessarily want to be crying, but I know that I need to be crying, like a shower is a great place to do that because it kind of blocks everything.
And
Now
but
I'm
also some people tend to do that I don't like, that I never have done, is like purposefully cry, if that makes sense.
I'm
Yeah. So I
well,
mean,
like they
I
forcing
don't know.
themselves to cry.
Yeah, like forcing themselves to cry. But you don't. If it's not there, don't do it.
Yeah, no, I've never done that. Like
But
I've
just make sure that's something that you guys do too. Is that feel the feelings, but don't push the feelings. If it's not pressured there, then it's not that big of a deal.
right, exactly. The feeling comes up because you have energy in your body that needs to be released. Like that's
Okay.
what it is. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's so important to release that. Now I just cry all over the place. Like I'm I don't only do it in the shower anymore. But that took me a while to get to that point with being okay with releasing those emotions too. So I know that some people aren't okay with it, but it's
I'm
okay.
definitely not one. I'm a
Yeah.
Virgo, and
Yeah.
so the emotion there is doesn't want to be there. But I mean, I at least allow myself to think my horrible negative thoughts for a second, and then I go, okay, that was stupid. Like you shouldn't be thinking that. And then I go, okay, whew, all right. I thought about those things. They're not true, so I need to move on.
Hmm. Yep. I mean, first step is recognizing it, right? So it sounds like you've done that really well. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for sharing your story to make other people who may be going through the same thing feel less alone. So I appreciate you being here and also sharing your marketing tips. Very helpful.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to connect with you, where's the best place for them to do that?
So two places I would say I'm more engaged, and I need to get better at is some of them. But so YouTube is something I'm getting back into. So you can look up Alexandra Ramirez, and then probably look up like Facebook ads or something to be able to find me. Another place too is Instagram, which is the Alexandra Ramirez is my username on there. But other than that, like that's the main places where I'm.
Great. And we'll link to all those in the show notes for easy access as well as usual. So thank you again for being here. This was so great talking with you.
Yeah, you too.